Terry, and I'm going to read a little bit more of my story about the 80s when I lived in Seattle and I had a crow and I met a wonderful neighbor. And I'm just going to, it's called Free Range Child. I may, on the other side of one of my stories, it may be on there, but it stopped, so I'm going to read it from here and bear with me. So we moved from Minnesota, and the only family we had was my husband's favorite aunt in Tacoma and his friend from his small town who stayed with us until he found an apartment in Seattle so he could attend the University of Washington. We were new on the block. Lucky for me, one of my neighbors was friendly. She was Mormon and came from Salt Lake City. She came over and introduced herself and brought her 4-year-old son. He was a terror. Red-headed and free range. He took our cassette tapes and unraveled the contents. He dumped one of my plants, dirt all over my freshly vacuumed carpet. Dumped his sippy cup in my husband's fish tank. I was so happy having a fun friend, so I put up with the kids screaming, jumping up and down while attempting to grab the steering wheel while we were going down the Interstate 5. The police followed us with sirens and stopped us and told her if she didn't put her brat in a car seat, she would be fined. Meanwhile, the kid was jumping and screaming. All the way home, my friend ranted and raved that the police have nothing better to do than to stop parents and children. She pays taxes to be yelled at for nothing. I nodded, my head thinking to myself, those police are good. Luckily, I could shut the laundry door so Larry was safe when they visited. We were both away from home and missed our families, so we bonded well. She was a musician and piano teacher. I visited her house after she had her second child, a girl baby. She was canning, and the kitchen floor was so bad the health department would have declared it a toxic waste dump. Apparently, she had her carpet ripped out from a flea infestation. Seattle's gloomy, damp winters are moldy, and an outbreak of fleas are common. I started feeling itchy and said I have to get home to take care of business. She gave me a jar of the berries she canned. I told her thanks and come over any time. When I got home, I threw the jar in the trash, making sure Daddy wouldn't find it. My Swedish heritage was hyper clean. My Swedish grandma always stressed, cleanliness is next to godliness. People say you could eat off her farm kitchen floor. I had the heebie-jeebies and threw my clothes in the wash and took a bath. My husband noticed my strange behavior. He was watching baby. I told him they have a flea infestation. Larry was growing leaps and bounds. The clear tubes on him sprouted feathers. He looked raggedy and looked like he had a skin disease. I did a lot of laundry, and he was so happy getting attention and a treat. I rubbed him by his ears, and he would coo with a raspy love voice. His eyes were shiny and black, like the darkest space. They glinted with keen observation. He didn't miss a beat. The sun was out and felt like spring in February. I brought him outside. The laundry room had a door that I opened, and I set him on the floor. He hopped outside. I filled up an old dishpan and filled it with water. Larry went to town splashing his wings. Had to fill it several times with the hose. Caw, caw, he cooed, and dunked his head in the water and hopped out on his yellow crow feet. He proceeded to shake himself off and pecked at his wings. He loves a bath. We had to teach him to fly once. His adult feathers came in. We would throw him up in the air, and he caught on quickly. He started flying to trees. One night, he did not come home. I took the dog food can and tapped it with the spoon, and he didn't come. We yelled, "Larry, treat! Treat, Larry!" I guess you could say I was experiencing empty nester syndrome, literally. The next morning, I was making coffee and reading the paper, and I heard a tap, tap, tap at the window. I was so happy, and I said, Larry, welcome home. Missed you. He went to his perch in the laundry room, accepted the treat. I patted him behind his ears. He cooed in his gravelly voice. He then flew out the door and perched on a wheelbarrow we had. It was a sunny day, and I planned to hang out my clothes on the line. I packed the diaper bag with baby necessities and the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. I plopped baby in the stroller, lowered her in the umbrella stroller down the steps. I walked back up the steps for the laundry basket, pushed that out. I hung the clothes on the line with one hand and the other one holding me up on my crutch. I slipped the wooden clothespin on the baby onesies, blankets, towels, and sheets. I liked the fresh smell of drying outdoors. Seattle's dry climate dried them lickety-split. Meanwhile, Larry is perching on my line on the clothes. This wouldn't do at all. Larry, I shouted, shoo, get out of here. I picked up an object and I threw it at him to emphasize how serious I am. He flew sideways to avoid the hurled object. Good grief. The more upset I became, the happier Larry was. He loved my attention. He loved showing off his flying skills. Of course, I am now a blubbering, red-faced, crazy woman on crutches. I'm sure the neighborhood enjoyed the show. I lured him inside with dog food and shut the door until I finished hanging. Lucky for me, he never left the laundry room from his perch. Only one item needed to be washed again. Larry was becoming a crow. Heckle and Jekyll did not hold a candle to his pranks. I think he was placed in my path to work on my control issues and patience. Wished it worked. Well, that's it for one of my Larry stories, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you around. Bye-bye.